I'm like, stage fright.
We should just go into how we were a minute ago.
I know, right? Hey, it's Jason with JLM Photography, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, it's episode 7 of the podcast, and we're like well into 2024, mid-February. And this podcast, I wanted to do something a little bit different, so I've got a guest, and my guest is my older brother, Dan. And so Dan kind of got into photography, what was like 3 years ago?
2019.
Okay. It's been a lot longer than what I thought.
Yeah, 5 years in June.
Yeah, okay, cool. So Dan does a lot of like nature and landscape type stuff, which is like completely the opposite of what I do. And so I just thought maybe it would be fun to bring him in, of course, because he's also my older brother, so the whole nepotism thing works. But just to kind of give a perspective on that side of the world of photography, and because it's not something that I really do. And I think, you know, a lot of times newer photographers, they do a whole lot of different things, you know, kind of trying to find their niche. And so he's really found a niche with like the landscape stuff and the nature stuff. And it's stuff that I just don't necessarily really do. And but I could talk all day, but I'm going to go ahead and let Dan do a quick little introduction for what he does. And then we'll go from there. It's basically going to be like a question and answer. And I'm hoping to still keep it right around that 30-minute mark, but go for it.
So I was getting ready to do a trip to Colorado and with the family, and I wanted a camera. I had one back when I graduated high school. It was the Canon Rebel, the Agassi. We should promote that one.
Yeah, Andre Agassi.
Yeah, and that was an old film camera. And I don't even remember what lenses I had with it. I wasn't even trying to be good with it. I just wanted a camera that wasn't the old flat Kodaks from back in the...
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, those things were pretty cheap looking.
Yeah. Well, I don't even remember you ever having a camera.
Oh, yeah. So I had that through my whole Army career. And then it broke, so I got rid of it. Then June of 2019, I asked you to start looking for me one, and you said, "Hey, yeah, cool," and got me into the T6.
Okay.
And that's where we all started. I had the 18 to 35, and then I think it came with 70 to 300 lens or something like that.
Lenses,
yeah, those cheap kit lenses.
Yeah. You get like a package on Amazon or whatever.
Yeah, I think it was like $500 or...
Yeah, and they throw in everything.
Yeah, it came with a whole kit of everything that you think you need. Yeah, so they really get you hooked into the gear acquisition syndrome quick.
Yeah.
But they know what they're doing.
Yeah, you know, all these just little add-ons and this and that, and you pretty much don't ever use any of it. Really, a lot of people don't even end up using those kit lenses either.
Yeah, you find out quick that those things aren't really worth anything. They are beginner only.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So quickly started. I knew I wanted a big telephoto lens. I always wanted one of those. I always thought they were cool. So quickly upgraded to a Tamron 150 to 600. It's the G1, but I found it cheap. I think I picked it up for $700. And then started learning to do wildlife stuff on that, because that was fun. And then slowly just started, and then I knew I wanted to do some landscaping, so I needed to get I thought I needed to do, you know, a fast lens, which you really don't for landscape. The kit lens actually probably would work pretty good with landscape photography, but if you want to do portrait photography, it's not very good.
I remember telling you, you need fast lenses, but you know, again, that's me shooting portraits and going based off of what I know, as opposed to landscape or anything like that. So.
Yeah, no, I don't know. They're probably not as sharp as what you would really want for a really nice wildlife, but I got to where I wanted to do long exposure. I wanted to do wildlife. I love doing time lapse, stuff like that. And I wanted to try all the different things, but the one thing I didn't want to try was people.
Yeah, perfect. Well, so I've got some questions here I'm going to ask Dan. Go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
One of the first things me and Dan actually did, we don't actually do a whole lot together as far as photography goes, but we did shoot some toy photography. That was kind of fun when you were picking it up.
I still do that a little bit. Now I graduated into 3D printing space shuttle or Star Wars ships.
Yeah.
I got my
There you go.
Visited Hoth T-shirt, and I put those into Photoshop background and try to make it look like a real movie scene. So yeah, I still shoot toys.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, there's its own niche, man. It's out there. So
There's people that are really good at it.
yeah. All right. So I don't feel like you answered this one already, but this is the first question that I've got. What do you actually love most about photography? Like, what keeps you doing it? Kind of like that golf shot, right?
So my daughter is doing volleyball, so I love to use that camera to make her look good. That's one of the things I really enjoy. I also like going on vacation and being able to capture something beautiful and it not look like somebody just clicked a snapshot.
Right, with a cell phone.
Yeah, with a cell phone, which cell phones work very well nowadays for taking pictures, but I like to be able to get into Photoshop and play around with the colors a little bit and make it look like I was there instead of something you would just...
Yeah, one of the things with the cell phone, two things, is cell phone photography, the cameras are very good. The problem is if you decide to print off something like that, a landscape, you're really going to notice right away your details are going to be lost.
Yeah, as soon as you try to print it big, it's not going to look good.
The other thing with cell phone photography is it typically stays right here on your phone. It doesn't go anywhere than that. And so that's one of my soapboxes for photography is trying to print your work. But
the thing is, they're geared toward everybody that's posting on social media.
Sure.
The one thing I hate about Instagram is you can't zoom in on the pictures. Can't stand that. That's why I don't use it. I can't stand Instagram for that one reason. You cannot look in on the picture and see the detail.
Yeah.
So to me, it's worthless.
Yeah.
If you can't go in there and admire the feather pattern on this bird.
Yeah.
You know, and see all the different details in its beak or whatever, or see a deer with a tick sticking on it.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing that's neat. What I enjoy about that, you get close to being out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I call it hunting, but without killing the animal.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, you got to put it back, and so they can live again. You can take their picture again.
Yeah. Well, that leads right into the next question. What do you hate most about photography?
How expensive it is.
So
that's actually kind of turned me off toward it. I would really love to upgrade my camera, but with family and stuff and other things I want to do, I just can't justify spending. The body for an R6 is what, $2,500?
Yeah.
And then you want to start getting lenses. Well, you want to get the R lenses, of course.
Right.
And then the cheap ones are $2,600, so you're $5,000 into two things. And then the lens I really want to get is if I find it used, that's $5,000 right there. Yeah. So you're $10,000 now into two things. So yeah, it's an expense. It's not for poor people. Yeah. You're going to be rich at the beginning, and then you're going to turn poor really quick.
Yeah. Photography can definitely be a money pit. You can just throw money into it. And so I would definitely agree with you. So Dan and I, and I'm not saying anything negative about the way we grew up, but we grew up with little money, little extra money, and so I would say that both he and I probably try to do this stuff on a budget as much as we can, knowing that, and even bringing in money from photography. I'm still looking at ways to do it saving money as opposed to spending the money on this or that. I'm all for buying used glass, and I've got a video coming out tomorrow, basically, showing some used lenses that Dan actually let me use. So, again, it is expensive. It is massively expensive, and you're right. 2 lenses and a body, and you're at $10,000, or 1 lens and a body, and you're at $10,000. And dude, if you don't have that, it's hard, man.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is if you're stuck with a budget camera and budget lenses, it's hard for your work to improve.
Right. Yeah. But people will go in and buy a brand new $5,000 lens and they don't know anything about photography, and they completely suck with it, and they think, oh, this thing doesn't work, which you hear all the time. My lens doesn't work. My camera doesn't work. No, it's you.
Yeah.
Let me assure you, it's you.
Yeah.
You will get better, but it is you at the beginning.
Right. Well, that's the used lens we need to buy.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see here. So next question. I've got a lot of newer photographers or photographers, let's see, who follow on Instagram and stuff like that, or even YouTube. And, you know, I've made some missteps. What are some things that you, like 2 or 3 things, quickly, because I know we're pushing time already, but
Make it a two-parter.
a 2-parter, yeah, we could. 2 or 3 things that you wish you knew before, and I'm guessing maybe cost is one, but 2 or 3 things that you wish you knew before you really started spending money.
Yeah, probably the biggest thing is that most photos that you see on the internet, as far as wildlife or landscape, are photoshopped, heavily photoshopped. They will take out all the flaws. If there wasn't a cloudy sky in the picture, then you can easily Photoshop a sky, because you don't want a nice vista scenery foreground and then a blank blue sky. It doesn't look too good. You want drama. That wildlife or landscape photography is about the drama.
You mean to tell me that those astro photos that show the whole Milky Way, it's not just one photo?
No, but I will tell you that they are a long exposure.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the interesting thing about astrophotography is a photographer with the lenses and the kit we have right now and takes a picture of a Milky Way shot is the exact same way NASA does it with a telescope. There's no difference. Cool. We use the exact same stuff. So if you want to be an astronomer, get yourself some, cameras with fast lenses.
Yeah.
And you can be an astronomer quick. Yeah. And it's really fun to do if you like staying up late at night.
Yeah. So what else? What other things?
Was I disappointed? Or what I wish I'd known? I wish I would have known I was going to have to use Photoshop a lot, as that was the hardest thing to really. I'll instead of that, let me say, I wish I would have known it was going to be so freaking hard to learn. Photography is the hardest thing I have ever learned, and you learn something new every time you go out.
Yeah.
Every time you go out and use that camera, you will learn something new. You can't expect to pick up a brand new camera and then be shooting weddings in 3 weeks. That's not going to work.
Right.
You might be shooting weddings in 3 years.
Yeah.
And you need to know that you need to be patient enough to learn that.
Yeah. I think I take it for granted. I actually knew Photoshop coming into photography. I was a designer for the Air Force, and so I already knew Photoshop. I knew a lot of the Adobe tools. And so I take that for granted, but you came in
zero
knowledge,
and it was frustrating.
Yeah, and you weren't even really a computer type.
I don't like computers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to teach myself Photoshop, and now I'm making some pretty cool pictures.
Yeah.
But to learn it is extremely frustrating.
Yeah, it's a big learning curve, and again, coming from the client's perspective, I think they don't have a clue. They think you just get the camera and you take pictures and there you go. But
basically, to learn photography properly, you need 3 to 4 years of going out and shooting every day.
Yeah, I recommend a lot shooting 3 to 4 times a week. And that's really where I saw my work start to improve, was when I was basically making it a point to shoot 3 or 4 times a week. And until you can do that, I just don't see how you can get that much better. But again, that's with anything that you do. I know you're playing golf now, and to get better at anything, you have to actually practice it. And you hear basketball players shoot thousands of free throws a day and stuff like that. So it's just like any other professional job. You got to do it.
Right.
So, one dream shoot for you, like if you could shoot anything. Or anywhere.
Yeah, you know what I would have? I've been hoping I can get to do this one of these days, and I want to shoot thunderstorms in New Mexico. I want lightning bolts.
Gotcha.
I love those multiple lightning bolts pictures, which are heavily photoshopped. You don't get 30 lightning bolts in one picture ever. That doesn't happen.
I think I know what your soapbox is.
No, but that was probably my biggest, the thing that you don't realize that most of those photos are photoshopped. There's nothing real out there. And now there's this big thing about AI and Photoshop and everything like that. Is it real? Is it a real photo? Yeah. I mean, you took the time to go out and do that.
Right.
To get 30 lightning bolts in your picture, you stood there for an hour by that camera as the timer hit the picture every 10 seconds.
Right.
For an hour. And then finally the thunderstorm moved through, and that's art to me. I love that.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to do that one of these days.
And in New Mexico, it's fairly flat, probably. In
You got the
areas you're looking at.
mountains,
Yeah.
and you get to see the curtains of rain coming across, and you get close that aperture, and so you get this huge amount of detail in the background, the foreground, and stuff.
Real quick, because it took me way too long. How long did it take you, do you think, to learn the exposure triangle?
Over a year. And I could tell you the day I learned it because you pointed it out. I went to Choke Canyon fishing, and I took my camera with me, and they have these big giant birds there, and I was taking photos, and I got home. I was super excited. Got home, all of my pictures were blurry. I was like, what the heck, man? Nothing's sharp. What in the world did I do? That's why I posted them on
You're
Facebook.
probably blaming the lens.
I was blaming the lens, yeah. Not blaming me, which I should have. But, so I posted them, and I said, I don't understand why these things are blurry. What is going on? I have plenty of light. What is going on with this? And you said, well, what's your shutter speed? And it clicked. I was shooting at 500 millimeter length, but my shutter speed was 120. So of course it's going to be blurry.
Yeah.
You have to know that your shutter speed has to be faster than the length of the lens you're shooting.
Right.
And then the exposure triangle just popped, and I started. It was like I leveled up 20 levels after that.
Yeah,
and everything. As soon as I figured out exposure triangle, everything in photography got easy.
Yeah.
But it takes a year to learn it, I think.
I hate to say this, but it took me about 7 years to figure that out. It took me 7 years, but I wasn't.
But were you shooting every day?
No, I wasn't. And
I made it a point when I got my camera to take a photo every single day for a year.
yeah.
And that's how I know it takes a year to learn that.
But like you, as soon as I figured it out, I was like, oh, dude, and it just, as they say on Star Wars, it opened up a whole new world, right? It was crazy what knowing some of the basics of photography will actually do. And here I was 7 years pushing with a camera, and I didn't really know.
It's incredibly hard. You got this piece of equipment, and you need three things to line up, and you think that's simple to do, but it's not.
Yeah.
It is not.
Yeah.
And once you figure out everything brings in a little bit of light, but then it slows this down and blah, 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 you're lost. You don't know what to do. So you have to go out there and make mistakes.
Let's see here. Why did you... So you're more of an outdoorsy person anyway. I'm going to make this a yes or no. Is that basically why you picked kind of the field that you picked as far as landscape and nature and stuff like that?
Yeah. I've never really been interested in taking people pictures unless they weren't looking at me.
Like the sports stuff and...
Yeah. I don't want to pose people. The thought of posing people just drains my anxiety through the roof. If I could get someone if I wanted to do a portrait of somebody, if it was a professional and they just do their own thing, a model, that's so much easier.
Yeah.
But I don't want to take an amateur that does that, hey, make me look beautiful. Nope. Not going to do it. I don't know the skill for that. And I don't really have the desire to learn it.
Yeah. And and I say this a lot in a lot of my videos, is posing like Photoshop is one of those non-photography tools that you need to know in order to be good.
So you need to know, if you're going to be a portrait photographer, you need to know how to set up your lights, which is incredibly hard to figure that out. Lighting. That's a whole nother college course right there. You need to know posing.
Yeah.
which takes a year or so probably or more to learn, and then you need to learn your camera, which is 3 years worth of learning.
Yeah.
So you need to expect to spend 5 years learning
Yeah.
photography to start really getting where you're good at it.
Yeah. And the money that it costs to actually do all it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. So you actually kind of answered this already. I shoot pretty much all portraits. You know, I deal all with that, whether it's models, dance, high school, whatever. You don't, and you kind of said it's posing is one of those things. So does it scare you, or you don't necessarily have the interest really to?
I don't know if I have the interest to want to learn it.
Yeah.
And there's times I think of an idea that I would like to do, but it comes down to I don't really want to have to teach her how to pose.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to do it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and I've got, or you see it a lot. You see these photographers, posting on local Facebook pages or whatever, and they're newer photographers, and I do this. You don't need to do all that, And what I have found is to hone in on what I want to specialize in, and it is a little bit different because I have more liberty to be able to do that. But I don't shoot weddings, I don't shoot events, I don't shoot landscape stuff. I shoot what I want to shoot, but I also think that makes me a better photographer in that aspect. That doesn't mean I can't go out and shoot a landscape shot, but I guarantee you if I go out and shoot a landscape shot, somebody like you is going to shoot it a better way, even if maybe I might know my camera more because you know more what you're doing in that aspect. So I'm a big advocate for specializing in what it is that you're doing with photography.
Yeah, and enjoy it. If you enjoy it, you're gonna want to do it more.
Yeah, for sure. Because you stress yourself out, as you said, you stress yourself out if you're going to go out and do a portrait shoot, and you don't really want to do it. I recently shot a newborn session. I didn't want to do it because it stressed me out even thinking about it. I'm like, ugh.
I think that's one of those things you have to be super patient.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to shoot pets,
Yeah.
I've done that before, and you just got to get in the mindset, and when you go there, this is going to take 4 hours.
Yeah.
Because you got to be patient enough to sit there and wait for the animal to do what the animal does, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
You want the animal to look natural.
Right.
That's the thing. I can't pose a model and make her look natural, or anybody and make them look natural, because I just don't. You tell me triangles and all this stuff. I'm like Uncle Rico.
What is that? Will Ferrell, what do I do with my hands?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely technique and skill to each different type of version of photography. And I say at the beginning while you're exploring, shoot everything. Shoot really kind of what you want.
Try to go out and shoot something every single day.
Yeah.
Shoot butterflies. Shoot flowers.
Yeah.
Shoot people.
Yeah.
Shoot.
I remember when COVID hit, basically I went out and shot like my macro photography, stuff that I really wasn't that interested in, but it was really more because I was wanting to shoot. And I just I felt like I needed to get out there.
Yeah, go out there and enjoy using your camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you spent a lot
Buy
of money
extension tubes. They're super cheap. And then you can get a little flash lens for the top of your camera, whether it's called speed lights, and shoot freaking flies.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's fun. Extension tubes are $25.
Yeah.
And they're super easy to use.
The truth is, to me, if you're not making money on photography, it's a hobby. And if it's a hobby, get out there and do it as much as you want to do it and enjoy the crap out of it, because it's expensive. It's an expensive hobby. And I don't think there's that many hobbies out there that are that expensive.
No. Well, fishing. Yeah. The gas is just outrageous.
All right. So I've got one last question for you. All right. So what would you consider yourself? Landscape, nature?
So I do a lot of sports photography, which we didn't talk a whole lot about, but I do that. I really enjoy that. Yeah. That's fun. High school sports and kids sports. And then nature photography. I'll go out there and sit in a bird blind and watch, or I'll sit out in the backyard and take pictures of bird. And then nature photographer, which is deer and whatever. Yeah. And then landscape. So I do. I'm open to all the genres.
All right. Well, you pick one And what advice would you give for somebody looking to get into, whether it's sports photography, nature, landscape? What piece of advice would you give?
If you want to get good at it, just take your time. Enjoy the ride because it's going to take a while. Another thing I would tell you, which is I think even more important, is embrace your mistakes. Learn to love your mistakes because that's the only way you're going to learn in this. You're going to make mistakes and don't let it frustrate you because that's the only way you learn from it.
Yeah, I'm going to caveat that too. And you see it a lot. And again, using social media, there's so many photography groups out there. And you see people post up work and they will ask for critique and people will give critique. Now, there can be some crap critique out there, but there's probably a lot of truth in that critique. But people don't listen. As soon as it becomes negative, and I'm just as bad too, as soon as it's become negative, you get defensive. And what you really need to do is, like Dan said, embrace that mistake. Listen to what they said. Find the truth in what they said. Know that more than likely, if you're asking for critique, you know that it can be better. So listen to that critique and take what people say. You can throw out some of the negative words or terms that people might be using, but I think that there's truth in most.
Did you see the photos that person posted of their downtown shoot?
Yeah.
I know there's probably several people that, what lens did you use? That wasn't a lens. That was heavily edited in Photoshop.
Yeah.
You need to ask her, how is your editing style?
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's an editing style.
Right.
So you got to understand that too.
Yeah.
So a lot of what you're seeing is heavily edited.
Yeah.
And everybody does have their own style of editing. When I do portrait photography, I really like to edit the crap out of it.
Yeah.
Probably way too much.
Yeah. I agree. And that's one of my little soapboxes too is, oh man, you're really good. What kind of camera you have? What kind of lens? Dude, that's my tool. I'm still creating it. I'm creating the light. I'm creating the shadows on the face. I'm doing this and that. And then, of course, they post that at work and all that kind of stuff. And so, again, people that don't necessarily know, don't know. But photographers, they probably should know better than to say, what kind of camera is that? Yeah. Or I'm switching to Sony, or I'm switching. Yeah. Dude, every camera out there is capable. Every high value intermediate lens is capable of creating something.
Even entry level.
Yeah.
If you learn how to use it, I follow a girl that's a wildlife and landscape photographer. She uses a T6.
Yeah.
And she has incredible photos. Yeah. She takes a photo every freaking day. I've been following her for 5 years now, and her stuff was probably pretty rough at the beginning, but she has beautiful photos.
Yeah.
With an entry-level camera.
Yeah.
So how you learn to use your camera is the most important thing. It's not anything else.
For sure. Well, brother, that brings us to the end. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
It was cool. I like the back and forth. It's a lot easier to do a podcast when I'm actually talking to somebody instead of just talking to the camera.
Yeah, it's way easier when you have somebody to do it than you're just trying to.
I figure I'm going to have to cut out a whole lot less ums on my part.
As long as you're passionate about it, people will like it.
Exactly. Let's see here. Anything else? Real quick, where can we? I know you said you don't like social media a lot, but where can we see some of your work?
Oh, if you want to see some what I've I don't post a lot of stuff anymore because it actually kind of bums me out. But Daniel Carmody or at Daniel Carmody will take you to my wildlife stuff, and then follow the links in the description above.
Okay.
And then you can see my sports.
YouTube? You have some videos on YouTube?
I do have YouTube, Dan Carmody.
Okay. Okay. And I'll post up the link.
I don't post a lot of stuff on YouTube anymore because I decided I was going to do it every week for 6 months and see how it went. And man, it sucks your time.
It does.
It sucks your time away. And at the 6 month mark, I decided I'm not enjoying this because I just don't have the free time. It's one full day a week that you have to commit to it. Yeah. Especially with wildlife stuff.
And that's just the shooting part.
That's just I go out for 6 hours waiting for deer to show up. Yeah. Or waiting to make a wildlife video, and I got family stuff I got to do, So it's a huge commitment. Hats off to those dudes that can go out there and make awesome videos. Yeah. Maybe when I don't have kids anymore, I can do it.
Exactly. I know that Jared Poland dude said when he first started his channel, he was doing it every day. No, he doesn't have wife, kids, or anything like that. So you can probably do that. But
If you make it your job, it's
Yeah.
easy to do.
Yeah,
if
for
that's
sure.
your job.
yeah. But thanks again for watching, listening, however you're getting this content. I really do appreciate it. Remember, I've got new podcasts that come out every Tuesday, new videos every Wednesday on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram at j.allen_photographer or j.allen_dance photography to see some of my dance work. So thanks again, Dan. I really do appreciate you coming out. And until the next one, keep shooting. Fantastic.
This is what. No, this is when you read the credits.
Yeah.
Yeah.